What is going on, everyone? Episode 7 of Backup Blueshirts here. And Brendan, do you know why 7 is a very, very good number?
I do.
Why?
That's a Shades number. That's Mike Shades' number.
That is my number. That is my number 7.
That's actually just as legendary as number 5.
Dan Girardi. And, hey, we brought up Dan Girardi. I'm going to get this over with now. Mark Stahl is the GOAT. And there's my Mark Stahl GOAT reference for this podcast. So, it's been a couple weeks now since we recorded.
Yeah. Well,
it was before that 10-day break.
I think the Rangers were off for like 1,500 days we were off? We were off like what?
Yeah, like 1,200.
1,200.
Yeah, close enough. Close.
Yeah, well, and we got Rangers hockey back since the All-Star break, and it's been usual.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
But there was something to highlight in the All-Star game, and that was, well, we want to talk about the All-Star game first. Only briefly, just because
I'm just going to bring this up.
It was more fun than anything, really.
Yeah, like the All-Star game in general was just Comedy Central because the goalies were just awful.
Yeah.
So many goals.
Well, they're just getting lit up, of course.
Especially Gibson.
You know,
oh my God, my voice just cracked right there.
You know who wasn't getting lit up though?
Henrik Lundqvist.
Let's
go, baby.
Who the night before previously also won the shootout challenge.
Hey,
we get the goal the
what was
save
it, like
streak.
10 in a row or something like that?
Yeah, a little bit more. I think it was like 11 or 12.
That was a beast.
In a row.
Literally, I didn't see.
Fleury has the record.
Bro, I didn't even watch the skills competition at all. I just saw what I needed to on Instagram after the fact, and I was just like, all right, that's all I needed to see.
You know what's actually an interesting point, and I know we were just talking about it earlier.
Yes.
And I'm awful for not remembering they had the first woman doing the speed skating who beat out Clayton Keller, which is actually hilarious. But you want to know what's even more funny than that? You know the passing challenge?
Yes.
I don't know if you read about that. Did you read about that? They had the woman go from the Canadian team, and she actually beat every person that went. She had the fastest time out of everybody.
That just proves that NHL players just don't pass, right?
How crazy is that? And people were up over arms that she didn't get that she didn't actually get the award for it, but it was only in the trial run. So
I mean, she's not in the National Hockey League. That's why.
Yeah. You know what? Hold up.
I'm not trying to be like sexist or anything, but that's the reason why, because she's not in the National Hockey League. Anything else about the All-Star game, or do you want to move on?
Well, I feel like I'm okay. That was the woman who skated, Kendall Coyne Schofield.
I saw that on Instagram, dude. Yeah, she was fast as hell.
Yeah, she was booking it. Well, it's just funny because obviously she was much shorter than everybody else.
Yeah.
And so that's actually just hilarious because he's just so much shorter. So, like, you could tell, like, she was booking it. And then I forget who it was that went after her.
It wasn't McDavid.
No, it wasn't Connor McDavid. He ended up going, like, more towards the end. And I think it was it Heiskanen? I think it was
Heiskanen.
I think it was Heiskanen on Dallas. And he goes after her. And, I mean, he's obviously much taller than her. It looked like he was giving absolutely, like, no effort whatsoever. It was kind of funny. But, yeah, she was booking it.
Well, I mean, dude,
like
the shorter you are, the more effort you got to put in.
And faster time than Clayton Keller, which is funny. That just goes to show you, dude, just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can't be a badass hockey player.
They're damn right.
That's what I took away from
the
whole thing.
All right, well, that's all the talk you're going to get on this episode of the podcast about the All-Star break. So let's move on to the first Rangers game after the All-Star break, a 38-shot, 1-0 shutout loss to the Philadelphia Flyers against, who was their goalie? Anthony Stolarz?
Hey, let's give him credit, though. He's not that bad of a goalie.
I literally just want to get this out of the way right now. I specifically stayed late at work that night, mainly because I was watching a movie that I wanted to finish on my phone, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, great movie, recommend it. But once I saw the lineup decisions for that game, I'm like, I am not watching this game. They decided to dress 11 and 7, and I remember specifically Smith, Shattenkirk, and Pionk were all in while D'Angelo was scratched. That infuriated me enough, and there was one small lineup decision forward-wise that I was just like, okay, no, I'm refusing to watch this particular lineup when I know it's not the best lineup to play. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, even after the break, I think it's kind of the same the same thing with the Rangers. With the first game, it's another example of us we just can't score.
Exactly.
And I couldn't even
Which
account
we're going to come back to that.
The
real
amount
quick.
of times that the amount of scoring chances that we had in that game.
We had 38
We
shots.
had 38 shots on
to
goal.
19.
Yeah, and that goes for everybody that game. Nobody's excused. Kreider, he had about 100 chances that I can remember. And then even the goal that we had given up in the first period, literally in the first minute of the game.
Oh, God.
And it was just one of those plays where it's like we're there, but we're not there.
I understand completely.
It's a massive scramble in front of the net. And we had the bodies. We had 4 guys in front of the net. Nobody knows where the puck is.
Oh, of course.
And, it goes in. It's just like, oh, my God.
Of
course, it has to be in, like, the first minute of the game, which was, like, the trend of last year, which was hilarious. Like, every single Rangers game that was played, I think the Rangers must have given up a goal in the first, like, minute or two.
Oh, that's how it felt like.
Yeah.
That really is how it felt like.
And then we would have to come from behind to win. I mean, that's... And you can't even say,
don't get me wrong. We were actually doing a good job of that earlier in the season, but if you make it a season-long thing, it's going to take its wear and tear eventually.
It's just funny. That's just funny to me that, like, we just couldn't score. It's just...
I know.
At this point, you just got to laugh.
Yeah, really. I mean, we're rebuilding.
And that's a good... But to their credit, though, that's a solid game for them to come and play off a break. I thought they played well. I mean, and the Flyers had played the night before also.
On a back-to-back.
Yeah, they're playing a back-to-back.
And honestly, like, with long breaks like that, Lundqvist usually plays terrible, but 1 goal allowed, I mean, that's pretty good for him.
Actually, you know what?
It was Georgiev?
Yeah, it was Georgiev that played.
See, I didn't even watch the highlights of that game.
Georgiev actually played, and he played well. You know what?
1
It's
goal
funny,
allowed.
But I'll give...
You really can't ask much more from your goalie.
Stolarz just really, in his name, stole the show.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, I mean, listen, anybody, if Steve Valquette at intermission says that, and it's actually hilarious because Steve Valquette literally called it perfectly after the first period intermission. He's like, Stolarz is having a game right now, and I think he's just getting started on having a game. So he's like, this is gonna be an interesting game. And sure enough, he gets a shutout. I was like, he called it. I was like,
the Valquette curse.
Valquette always calls it, and Kevin Weeks, they know their shit about goaltending.
They kind of were NHL goalies,
obviously, who, funny enough, both play for the Rangers.
And I just want to point out that I got a pick. Actually, no, I shook Kevin Weeks' hand the day of the 2018 Winter Classic. Guy's awesome. Just putting that out there.
Yep. It's actually funny. He came to the NHL store one day when I wasn't working.
Oh, figures, right?
And yeah, a couple of my coworkers were actually working, and then he did like a little video with them, and he actually posted it on their on his Twitter.
Dude, I would have been so tight.
That was pretty cool though.
I would have been so tight.
It's all right, kid. You know, it is what it is. I wasn't there, you know, but let's move on.
Speaking of it is what it is, let's move on to the New Jersey game where Mika Zibanejad put up a hat trick in 4-point night. It is what it is.
Second career hat trick for him, right?
Yeah, first one was on Ottawa a couple years back.
What a beast.
What a
beast. Yeah, what we were talking about this before, and the Rangers offense literally just consists of the Zuccarello, Kreider, Zibanejad
line and Kevin Hayes.
That's literally the entire offense.
When he doesn't have his head up his rear end.
Yeah. I mean, Zibanejad...
Which honestly, I will admit, has been less and less frequent this season.
Yeah.
So, Hughes, if you're listening, there's my compliment about Hayes.
But, man, it's just funny to us, like, and it's so obvious, like, when you watch the games, like, that is where our offense comes from.
No, it's from those 4 guys.
And you brought up a nice stat, which I wanted you to read when you get the chance, talking about just the lack of
depth
this is
scoring
just a
on the
stat
Rangers.
that really proves that we lack depth scoring. He had spoken in maybe like the previous couple of episodes about how we seen like lack in production from, you know, our bottom half forwards like VZ and Howden, who's injured now, unfortunately. But
okay, this is as of yesterday. Now, this first one comes as no surprise. Cody McCleod, no goals in 15 games.
This guy breaks his own podcast rule. You mean Cody McSnipe?
Cody McSnipe. Actually, did I declare that a podcast rule, or did I only declare it for Stahl and
I
Glass?
Oh, you might be right.
a.k.a. the GOAT Mark Stahl and Junior GOAT Tanner Glass. Okay, Cody McSnipe, no goals in 15 games. Ryan Strome, 0 goals in 7 games, 4 in 25. Jesper Fast, 0 in 9, 2 in 15. Boo Nieves, 0 in 14. Jimmy Vesey, 0 in 7, 2 in 24. Filipidal, 0 in 4, 4 in 29. Pavel Buchnevich, 0 in 5, 4 in 20. Vlad Nemesnikov, no goals in his last 19 games. And before he was injured, Brett Howden, none in 31. And we said this right before we started the episode of the podcast. Howden hit the rookie wall hard.
Yeah.
And I forget whether it was last episode or the episode before where I say, is there anything wrong with sending him down to Hartford? Now I truly believe that we should.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Let's see how he plays coming back from injury when he comes back.
Yeah.
That,
maybe.
So take that first part of that statement with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
As my nose rubs against the mic right there.
At the same time, I think him getting the minutes isn't the issue. So I think that would be a thing. Like, if he's getting out there and he was only playing like 3 minutes and he was buried on the fourth line, which he isn't, I would say, yeah, you know what, send him down because he's young enough.
He's still 20 or 19,
at this point,
I think. Actually, no, is he still 19 or is he 20 as I just burp?
I don't even know offhand. I would have to look it up. I mean, I think he is 20, though. I know for facts he's not.
I'm not exactly sure when his birthday is.
All I know is that I think since in the current situation that the Rangers are in, I think at this point, he might as well just stay in the NHL.
Yeah, you might as well.
At this point in the season, I think I would just keep him in the NHL.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with sending him down at this point because he already burned the first year off the entry level.
That's true.
But
I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you really think that if he can play out the rest of the season when he gets back from injury?
Let's see
how would you weigh it though? Like, would you rather see him get NHL experience or AHL experience?
It depends on whether or not his confidence is shot coming back from the injury.
Or maybe what they could do is send him down for a couple days, couple games.
Are you talking about a conditioning stint?
And then you bring him back up.
Well, I mean, it also depends on when he comes back, too. If he comes back before the deadline, it's a little bit of a different story than if he comes back after the deadline.
Yeah.
Because we're almost guaranteed to be missing a couple of lineup regulars right now.
But even though
which we will circle back to in a few.
Even though he continuously hasn't scored for us, I think that Quinn likes him. So I think that he doesn't bury him as much. Like, I mean, from my viewpoint, I mean, I don't know how other fans feel about it, but I feel like he's got something.
I can see that.
I think even since the beginning of the season and the first week or so of Quinn being the coach, of the season starting, I think he just doesn't like Buchnevich. I honestly
get
think
the same.
I think he just
vibe.
does not like Buchnevich.
I get the same vibe.
At the same time, I think
I'm also I get the feeling about that a little bit with D'Angelo as well.
Yeah, and which you were mentioning that, but I think with Buchnevich it's interesting because you said how many goals hasn't he had now, and he has 0 goals in the last what?
As I pinpoint his name, 0 and 5, 4 and 20.
I get it from a stats standpoint.
Buchnevich isn't like a prototypical goal scorer. He's more of a playmaker.
Yeah.
But then again, we knew that coming in.
But he's also been another guy, at least, that I've seen where it just seems that every single season with him that he decides that he wants to go on a little point streak, he gets some absurd injury, and he's out for 3 weeks.
So basically Zibanejad his first 2 seasons with us?
Essentially, yeah. That's. I just think that keeps happening to him. He gets his rhythm, and then he had a broken pinky or
thumb or something earlier in the season when he was just starting to go off.
So random. But I think that burying him on the fourth line with McCleod or McSnipe and Boo Nieves, who I don't want to throw Boo Nieves under the bus because he's solid.
Nieves has actually been a little bit better than I thought he would be.
But still, I mean, you can't put him on a line that's barely going to get any minutes and barely have that top offensive talent and then expect them to put up points.
Exactly.
It just makes no sense.
Actually,
and then also just paying him less time also just makes no sense.
Yeah,
and
he's
then
one of your most skilled guys. He needs playing time.
Yeah, and I think he actually had a rebound game in the Devils game, if I'm not mistaken.
I only caught about half that game.
He actually played much better in the Devils game, so I was happy to see that. And then we moved on to Tampa.
Oh, actually, speaking of Buchnevich right now with dropping down in the lineup, I forget whether it was against Tampa Bay or LA where VC just had like a horrible turnover. And at the beginning of the game, I think Buchnevich was ahead in the further up in the lineup than VC. Then something happened where Buchnevich dropped down below VC. Then that VC turnover. Wow, I just hit the mic. All right. Then that VC turnover happened, and then Buchnevich went right back above VC and started playing a lot better. So technically, Quinn did reward him in that aspect and put VC in the so-called Quinn bin. So, I mean, he did get rewarded in that aspect.
That's a good point.
So with that, let's move on to the Tampa game where they played 2/3 of the game very well, but the 20 minutes that they played terribly was the 20 minutes that cost us the game,
and which
is not surprising.
And the thing is, actually, and this is the second game now that we've played. This is the second game that we had against Tampa this year, right? Recently. Because I know the last game we lost. I know we have another upcoming game at the end of February with them. But a point that I want to make with them is, and it's actually funny because the game started out exactly the same way. The first 5 minutes of the game, the Rangers were all over them.
Oh yeah, no,
they were over them.
They were, and Tampa couldn't get through the neutral zone, and that's one of their strengths.
And since they were coming off a back-to-back, because they played the Islanders the night before,
yep,
Vasilevsky wasn't even in the net.
It was Domingue.
Louis Domingue's in the net.
Louis Domingue.
Funny enough, I saw a filthy stat. The last 8 games, he was 8-0
against the Rangers.
No. This is
just in general.
His last 8 games, they were 8-0 with him in the net.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That just goes to show you right there. And he's not a bad goalie by all means.
No, he's not.
Because when Vasilevsky was out earlier in the year, he was solid.
Oh, yeah.
And we mentioned that in an earlier podcast, how we were saying that that's actually a strength for them moving forward, going into the playoffs, I think. Because if something happens to them, God forbid, with one of their goalies, at least, I mean, that's not bad. If something happens to Vasilevsky and then they actually have a decent backup this time around.
Yeah, actually, Rangers had that for 4 years.
Exactly. Well, I was going to say we would know best because when Lundqvist went down, right, Talbot was
just
a
went
beast.
off.
So that's one thing you got to credit Tampa. But even so, it was just the Rangers' inability to score and their chances that they had in the first period.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if they scored those goals earlier again, they could have jumped out to it would have been a whole different game. But
yes.
Tampa is just one of those teams, man. You make 2 mistakes, and then next thing you know, it's 3-0.
Well, that's what happens when you're facing the best all-around team in the league, especially with how skilled they are.
They must have scored 2 goals. I felt like it was in 3 minutes. All of a sudden, they had 2 goals. I was like, "What is going on, dude?"
Yeah, they had 2 goals in 4 minutes in the second.
Their offense is just ridiculous. I mean, but that's kind of one of those games where I go into the game and I'm like, can't really expect to win this one. I want to be optimistic,
true.
But at the same time, it's you gotta
I know how you feel.
You gotta see that where it's okay, you're playing Tampa. Don't really expect to win. Considering they lost last night in a shootout to Vegas, but they only have 12 losses on the season. So, regulation losses.
Yeah, no, they
just got to 10 last week.
Wow.
That's just ridiculous. I wonder if they're going to slow down a little bit now, but
you never know. You really never know, cuz if you look back at the 2012-13 season when Chicago went off completely that year as a team, they didn't slow down at all. They won the cup.
Yeah.
So, you really never know in today's NHL.
What did we went down 3-1 in the Tampa game. Then we made it 3-2.
Yeah,
right?
Zuccarello scored in the second to make it 3-1. He beat Domingue cleanly, and then Hayes.
Yeah, Hayes had the first goal.
Yeah, he flubbed a shot.
Yeah, that's right. But
that went in.
That was an unbelievable pass by Zibanejad. Backhand saucer pass through the center of the ice. That was beautiful.
You
on the power play, correct?
Dude, in my opinion, the person who had the best pass of the week was D'Angelo on Kreider's goal in the LA game. Like, he literally had, like, 2 inches of space to get the puck to Kreider's stick, and he got it to Kreider's stick. So that was the best pass of the week. I'm just putting that out there.
You know what? I'll be honest with you.
Also, we outshot the Lightning 33-23, so we actually played a very good game defensively, except those couple turnovers, couple bad plays in the second period was what cost us the game.
They're a prime example of a team that literally, like, if you give them any chance, they're going to
bury it.
They will score on any chance that you give them.
Yep.
So that's another example. And it just seems to be, we could name a number of games this year, though, where I felt like the Rangers actually played well defensively and still lost the game.
No, but they've actually played well out every game throughout this break, maybe except
so you know
the
what it
LA
is?
game.
I think they got the Chell effect going on.
They got
right
the
now.
Chell effect going
I call
on.
it the Chell effect. So that's just happens. It happens all the time in the NHL video game where you outplay a team, you outshoot them
40 shots to 10, and then you lose 3-2.
Yeah, somehow you lose. You're the one that loses. That's
lose
what keeps
3-2,
happening to the
lose
Rangers.
2-1.
That's what keeps happening. I you know what's funny, because I want to bring this up because I barely saw the LA game. I was out, so I didn't get a chance to see it. I didn't even really catch the highlights of it.
Honestly, I watched both the Tampa and LA game on repeat.
But I get home, and it's the third period.
The stage is set.
And the Rangers were up. They were up at that point.
Which they should have been.
They were up. And actually, you know what, now I think about it. When Kopitar scored the goal, what was the score of the game?
He tied it at 2.
Okay, so he tied it at 2. Okay,
yep.
That's right. Now I'm remembering, because then McCleod scored that goal from the point.
Yeah, that was a snipe.
Okay, so literally as soon as I laid eyes on the television, Kopitar scored the backhand. So I was like, oh shit.
Boy.
I debated whether or not I should just turn the game off, because I was like, you know what? It's just one of those times where, you know, if you get home and then you just look directly at the TV, it's bad luck.
Yep.
So I debated turning the game off completely and just not watching it just for their sake. But I was like, no, maybe they'll...
See, the one thing that pissed me off about Kopitar's goal was he was like too much time in the slot.
Yeah,
I'm like, guys, come on, front of the net.
Yeah, and then
of course McCleod scores to give us the lead, and then Kempe scores to tie it up with a minute left, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Not
again.
even. It was like under a minute, and you know what? And then
it was like 59 seconds.
That was just such a like. I didn't see the replay of this because I want to bring this up too, but McCleod obviously scores the goal, gives us the lead.
Yes.
He's got Kempe going to the net, right? He knows he's going to the net, and he follows him to the net, but literally plays like the most like blech defense ever. He just lets him walk like right in. He wasn't strong on the stick. He lets him get inside position on him. And first of all, it was just a weird goal. He shoots it. It hits off Mark Stahl and like bounces through like the little like triangle that there was in between Lundqvist's armpit, and somehow it goes in.
Yeah,
but that's LA's puck luck.
I didn't really see it too well, but apparently McCleod got hit with a high stick
that's
a couple
exactly
seconds
what
earlier,
I was going to bring up.
Which, of course, the refs missed.
Steve Valiquette said that. But still, even so.
Now,
minus that.
I'm just going to bring up the fact, like, I wasn't pissed that we lost. I was pissed how we lost.
Of course. And then, of course, you have to lose in overtime.
Because, one, we blew the lead with a minute left, and two, of course, this is a typical Derek Stepan moment. Zibanejad comes down, beats Domingue. No, I'm not Domingue. Sorry, wrong game. Beats Quick cleanly, right off the post. LA comes right back down and scores.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and that's the thing with overtime.
I knew that the Rangers lost before I rewatched the game. Well, I mean, watched it in the first place. I knew they lost, and I still friggin' threw my remote down against the couch because I was like, really? That's how it happened?
Yeah, and especially in that situation on that 3-on-3 because Zibanejad was on the left side and he got caught deep in the zone.
Yep.
He wasn't getting back on D on that.
No.
So it was all or nothing on that play. That's the thing about 3-on-3. That's the risk.
Yeah.
But, and it was kind of like, and then even the shot itself was like, I think
Lundqvist said he flubbed on the shot too.
Yeah, he fucking.
I think did the shot go 5-hole?
No, it went like low pad side. I think Lundqvist thought it was going to go higher, but then it ended up going low, and he just completely missed it. It was but you know what though? Even so, like that was a bad goal by Lundqvist, but shouldn't even have been in that situation in the first place.
Yep.
It's 2-on-1. Can't really even blame him, but still.
I mean, when you have a grade A chance and ring it off the post, and then there's a rush down the other way, and then that's just like, you can't have much more bad luck than that. All right, well, the Rangers play tonight against the Bruins. They play Friday against the Hurricanes, 94 25th anniversary. I can't wait to be at that game.
Shades will be going, looking to
hopefully
make
they go 6-0. Hopefully they go 6-0.
Trying to make his record 6-0.
Sunday against the Maple Leafs, Tuesday against the Jets, and hopefully we will get another episode of the podcast in before the Sabres game next Friday.
Definitely.
All right, so we talked about the Rangers games during the week. Now let's talk about a couple players and a little bit about their trade values. First one, let's bring up McCleod, since he was the defender back on that 2-on-1 that ended the game in OT against the Kings. What do you realistically think they could get for him? I honestly think they're going to get about a third-rounder. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I would really ask, is it even worth trading him at that point?
I mean, is it worth keeping him? Not really. Because if he's here, somebody's not going to get playing time that needs playing time. And it's most likely going to be D'Angelo for off-ice reasons.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that. But I honestly think we could get around a third-rounder for him, especially considering we ripped Boston off with Holden last year with a third-rounder and an AHL defenseman. So anything is possible.
I mean, listen, at this point, you want to trade him, I think we can always bring up Lindgren, right?
3-0 with him in the lineup. That's another thing.
Could always bring up Lindgren. So
I like Lindgren.
At this point, I mean, if the Rangers trade McCleod for a draft pick, I wouldn't really even care. Because, listen, with him in the lineup, the Rangers aren't doing jack. So it doesn't matter to me,
the only positive
honestly.
that McCleod brings to the table, well, two positives. One, he's a defensive defenseman. And two, he's the best partner for Brady Shea that we have.
Yeah, who's actually been...
He's been better lately.
Much better, for sure.
Because he's been paired with McCleod, who's
definitely
a defensive defenseman.
I think I think Shea's getting
more
loose
of an
with his
offensive
skating
defenseman.
now.
Yeah.
I think I've seen him. I think he's been breaking out of the zone better. I think his skating's been better. But you know what it is? It's just like we haven't had McCleod for that long.
Yeah.
So I can honestly care less whether or not the Rangers trade him.
Honestly, if we trade him for a 4th-round pick, I wouldn't be mad, but at the same time, I'd be like, we gave up Kemp for a 4th and a 7th. I would at least like something more than a 4th-rounder back.
I mean, it gets a little bit more touchy when you start talking about Zook, because obviously
I was just about to segue into that.
But
you know what? Since we're going to talk about Zook's value, I just want to bring up that about 20 minutes before we started the podcast, Brian Boyle got traded from New Jersey to Nashville for a 2nd-round pick. Now, Brian Boyle this season has 13 goals and is, I don't want to say, like, he's not a prototypical bottom 6 player because he brings a lot more to the table, like leadership-wise and character-wise, locker room-wise, but Zook brings the same thing. He brings that tenacity. He brings the point production. He is a good guy in the locker room. If Boyle went for a 2nd-round pick, Zuccarello better be going for a 1st. Now, I tweeted at Dan Rosen about a week ago, what do you think realistically is Zuccarello's trade value right now? And he said, based off the Grabner trade last year, it's a 2nd and a prospect. But I'm looking at it this way. If Grabner went for a 2nd and a prospect, his trade value rose significantly to that. Because when the Rangers first signed Grabner, his trade value, he didn't have any trade value. Like, you maybe could have gotten like a 6th-rounder for him. That's how bad his trade value was. Last year alone, Zuccarello, it was stated in multiple articles that his trade value was equivalent straight up for the 13th or 14th overall pick. Now, yes, he was injured this season. He wasn't playing as well as he should have been because the trade rumors were affecting him mentally. But now he's not affected mentally by the trade rumors anymore. He doesn't seem to be injured anymore. He's playing like the player whose value was equivalent to that 13th or 14th overall pick. If Rangers can't get at least a first rounder out of him, keep him.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about that. I brought up that point because I was like, you know what? What if the Rangers just decide, you know what, screw it. We don't want to trade Hayes. We don't even want to trade Zuccarello. Like, I actually kind of never really thought about it like that. I just figured, okay, that's it. They're done. They're getting traded.
Trade coming in right now. The Predators are reacquiring Cody McCleod from the Rangers for a 7th-round pick.
Oh.
Wait, trade call hasn't happened yet. Wow. Okay, this is actually first-time breaking news that has actually gone on during a podcast. Okay. I can't believe this.
You lost it there for a second.
Wow. I'm shocked. I honestly think he was going to last the whole year.
Huh?
I honestly thought he was going to last the whole year.
Huh?
Wow.
All right.
This is breaking news.
But I wanted to bring up a point that you were bringing up, Brian Boyle, and we were like talking about it, and obviously a 2nd rounder for Brian Boyle, and you were talking about how we can get a first for Zook. But I think the main thing with Brian Boyle is that I think Nashville honestly just got him for the playoffs. So I think that's why they were willing to give up a 2nd-round pick for him. Like you said, obviously he brings
a lot to the table.
I mean, he's also great on the power play in front of the net. That's another thing that he's good at. Obviously, he's great in the playoffs. You would know from Rangers, and even when he was with Tampa, 2015-16, he had 5 goals in the playoffs.
Our boy Ron just tweeted, "I hope McCleod gets his name on the cup this year. Guy is an absolute stud." I don't know about an absolute stud, but I appreciate the toughness that he brings to the lineup because he doesn't let the other team take any liberties against anybody. Yeah. So he is a very good teammate in that aspect.
And looking at Nashville's perspective, like getting Boyle actually almost makes sense because Turris is out.
Yeah,
they're lacking a little bit of center depth, but I think Brian Boyle's not a bad.
He fits the team.
Yeah,
because they're a hard-nosed team.
But even thinking about it, like, really, is there that much risk in a 2nd-round pick?
No,
for Boyle,
especially considering Nashville, who's geared up for a deep playoff
I mean, honestly,
run.
If I was the Devils, I would be sad because I mean, just the whole thing that went on with him last year with the cancer and all that. I mean, that's sad for.
And he scored a hat trick on Hockey Fights Cancer Night, which you literally can't make that up.
That's very sad. It's a sad day if you're a Devils fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
But I mean, at the same point, the Devils are another rebuilding team.
Yeah.
So the move makes sense for them.
It absolutely makes sense. So, I mean, listen, good for him. I mean, he went for a team that wasn't going to make the playoffs to one of the best teams in the West.
Yes, exactly.
So, you know what? Listen, good for him.
Yeah.
Same thing when he left the Rangers. He went to Tampa. Can you really even, good for him, dude.
Yeah, man.
That's even better for him. That just goes to show you, though, he's just a good player. And when you're a good player, even if you're on a bad team, good teams are going to want you. Not that he was really ever on a bad team, minus, this year at the Devils, they're not really good. But
all right, so we talked about McQuaid, Zuccarello, and Brian Boyle. This brings us to the cream of the crop when it comes to Rangers trade value, Kevin Hayes.
Yeah.
Now, I talked to my buddy Dave. I'm not going to put his last name in because I don't know if he'd be cool with it, but he actually is a writer for a Rangers website that I used to read a lot. Now I don't read as frequently. But I asked him last night, I asked him, what do you think the Rangers are going to get for Hayes at the deadline? He said, I don't think they're trading him. Now, I have no idea if he has any inside information, but he said because he's one of the top two-way forwards in the league, he's in the top 10 top 15 in high danger chance percentage when he's on the ice, and just he thinks that Hayes has more value than anything we could get back for him. In my opinion, that's not true, but that's just my opinion because to me, at the beginning of the season, his trade value was so overblown that I would have traded him for a first and and another team's top prospect, whether he'd be on the roster or not. Now it's looking like we might be able to get more than that because remember how much Duchesne went for.
Yeah.
And Duchesne wasn't putting up point-per-game numbers when he went for that. So I honestly think we could get a haul back for Hayes like we did for Nash last year.
Yeah. I mean, and if they could get something like that, I honestly wouldn't mind it.
But at the same time, we traded Nash for a first, a seventh, a salary dump, a roster player who basically Boston wanted to get rid of, and a halfway decent defensive prospect.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Hayes should go for a first rounder and a top prospect and maybe something else.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not trading Hayes for a salary dump unless that contract nets us a bigger asset who that player is.
See, this is
up at the end of the year.
This is what I was thinking. I mean, I always said, like, listen, if Hayes maybe brought the contract down a tad and maybe brought the length down and the money, even if it was only like a million or two down, I would keep him because I enjoy him on the team. And I think that if he can lower that contract down in terms of money, I think that's a fair price for him.
I don't want him signed for $7 million. That's my thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if he can bring down that, he wanted what, 6? He wanted $6 million for 5 years. 7, and he wanted a 5-year term.
I think. Yeah. No, I wouldn't be comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want that either. $7 million for Hayes, but I think to the point you were talking about Zuccarello before, and I think.
Now, keep in mind, I said I didn't say I didn't like it. I said I wouldn't be comfortable with that.
Definitely. But I wanted to just bring up a point with Zuccarello because I didn't want to interrupt you. But
go ahead.
Even with Zook, it's, you know what, like you said, Zook had, obviously he knew he was getting traded. He was injured earlier in the year. His play when he knew he was getting traded was not good. I think his trade value was down.
Correct.
For sure.
His trade value was down. Now it's resurged a little bit.
Now it's absolutely back at what it should be for Zuccarello. Absolutely. These last 6-7 games, he's been on an absolute tear.
And another thing that bumps Zook's value is after he started playing better, he got moved up to the top line and elevated the play of his line mates Kreider and
for sure
Zibanejad. So that, in my opinion, is raising his trade value even more.
Definitely. I mean, if he continues to play like how he's been playing up to the deadline, I wouldn't see why his trade value wouldn't be high. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, but at the same time, I think when you bring up Hayes, like you said, I think Hayes is a really good player. So I think we could get a first. I think we could get a good trade for Hayes, but I think at the same time,
I think it's definitely possible.
It's very tricky because I think at the same time, if the Rangers don't get a good offer for Hayes, it's interesting, like what do they do? Like, do they then, if they get a crappy offer for him and then they don't trade him, then they got to sign him.
True.
And it's like, then what do you do? Like if they don't want to put themselves in, I mean, obviously he's not Tavares level, but still, if he just walks, that would be pretty awful.
Yes, it would be.
So
especially
if they could figure out some sort of contract that's fair for the team, because listen, I get it. Hayes wants to get paid, but at the same time, he's got to be a little bit more realistic.
Yeah,
and I think that if he
that's bugging me is he hasn't put up 50 points yet.
Yeah,
that's the main thing that's bugging me.
Then again,
and this is his 5th year.
Then again,
he's on pace.
A lot of Rangers put up 50 points.
Well, Zuccarello does pretty consistently.
Yeah, but not many. I'm saying.
Yeah, true. But
I mean,
all I'm going to say is
but
he's 26. This is his 5th year in the league, and he's on pace to break 50 points, but he hasn't done it yet.
Yeah,
that's my biggest concern.
I think Hayes he could be a late bloomer. That's the thing too. I mean, he's in his 5th year. I think he's finding his game now.
But you got to remember, he's 26.
It's true. I mean, listen, that's why a 7-year deal. He still wouldn't be that old by the end of it, but at the same time,
33. Yeah.
I think I would be more comfortable if they signed him until he was like 30.
Well, I mean, with the way the NHL works nowadays, like players' peaks are younger.
Yeah, for sure, of course.
If you get stuck with a bad contract down the road, nobody's going to take it off.
I think
unless
I mean, in the end, I hate to repeat
happens.
myself, but I think that he would. If the Rangers could sign him, I wouldn't be that disappointed.
Especially if it's for the right number.
Yeah, because if we're going to get some, but then again, we really haven't seen any offers for him. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's the thing. It's hard to really talk about too much. We're just speculating right now.
Yeah,
Just for the
there's
fun of
been
the
like no
podcast,
concrete rumors
but if-
about like what
Yeah.
certain trades would look
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
unlike the friggin' Lakers with Anthony
Yeah,
Davis right now.
exactly. But
I just real quick, I'm a Lakers fan. If they do that trade, if they give up everyone, I'm done. I'm done. All right, back to the Rangers.
yeah, man, it's hard to say right now because we haven't seen any reports coming in. I'm sure in the upcoming weeks we're gonna start seeing, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you really? I mean, just thinking about like, I want to ask, do you think that just for the fun of the speculation, do you think that those are really the only 3 Rangers that'd be on the trading block?
Well, Cody McCleod just got traded, so apparently he was on the block.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's more speculation than rumors, but Kreider being available for the right price. Here's what I'm going to say to that. If you're not getting an absolute haul back for Kreider,
I wouldn't
keep
trade
him.
him. Absolutely not.
Unless you're giving me like McDavid and like 3 first-rounders.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I
why
mean, you'd be stupid to.
I don't know
decline
why
that,
we
but-
didn't just trade McCleod for McDavid straight up. But
I mean,
you know,
yeah, neither. I mean,
Yeah.
friggin'. Damn it, Gordon. No, I'm just kidding.
could you imagine? That would be the most hilarious trade ever.
I don't drink, but honestly, if that happened, I would have my first ever shot. Let's just put it that way.
I think that the NHL will just explode.
What?
But
That's what happened. That's what would happen.
yeah, I don't want to see the Rangers trade Zibanejad or Kreider.
No.
That's just silly in my opinion. I
And
mean,
here's
unless you're
one
gonna
thing
get
I'm gonna-
somebody that's a beast.
Zook and Hayes have both said outright that this is where we want to play. But at the same time, you understand the situation that the team is in. You know where you know what situation the team is in. If you really want to play here and we do trade you, you'd come back in free agency and want to talk to us about a contract.
Well, that was the point we were bringing up too. I think it was on the last podcast with Hayes. We were saying, you know what? Like,
if you really want to play here, you'd come back and negotiate.
exactly. So you think that?
So don't say that, and then if we trade you, not
Don't-
come back.
yeah.
And, yeah.
But I think that's a good point with Hayes because why not? Why couldn't we trade somebody like Hayes for, say, a team that's in contention, maybe even out west?
There's
or even
speculation
in this-
about Winnipeg. Speculation.
Say he goes to Winnipeg, and they give us, but that's an interesting situation as well though because what if Winnipeg doesn't want to give us a first rounder for Hayes, but they're willing to give us a pair of like second rounders for Hayes, but we can get him back in the off season. See, that's where it gets tricky because it's not the
No,
set in
if-
stone.
2 second rounders for Hayes is not enough.
Yeah, no. I mean, I agree. I'm just saying.
I
Yeah,
don't
but I
know,
mean,
maybe.
listen, would I like him to be on the team? Absolutely. But at the same time, I think the Rangers have moves to try to sign these big, higher
if we can
free
get
agents.
a slam dunk prospect that has higher potential than him, that is going to hit it sooner age-wise, I think we might have to pull the trigger on the trade because we are rebuilding
Yeah. Well, that's another point.
and we have no scoring depth whatsoever.
no scoring depth, and we obviously want to make a big signing for a top goal scorer, which seems to be something that
There's
they're going for.
speculation about Panarin.
Yeah, just buying
has been
into those
speculation for a while
rumors, but buying into those rumors per se.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rangers are going to need some cap space for him, obviously, because he's going
Yes.
to be a big hit. But
All right, so we've talked about trade values for all of those guys. Now, we're going to end the podcast talking about what just happened with the Maple Leafs yesterday, and earlier today there was a little bit of steam. Auston Matthews signs a 5-year contract worth, I think the cap hit was 11.635, if I remember correctly. It was right around there for 5 years. Now, a lot of people were saying that was a team-friendly contract. I highly disagree. If you really wanted a team-friendly contract, knowing the situation the team is in, I would have been like, I'll accept a team-friendly contract. I'll go 3 years at $7 million.
yeah, so you think the length is the problem?
No, I think honestly it's a little bit of both.
Like,
Because
you don't-
the shorter the term, the lower the cap hit. That's how NHL contracts work. Unless you find a player who's willing to accept like a massive discount, which is extremely rare these days.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing I said to you, like, immediately, I was like, I wasn't surprised that Matthews signed for that amount of money or whatever, because who knows? I mean, had he not been on Toronto, he probably could have got even more because obviously he shows potential to be an unbelievable goal scorer.
But they have $65 million tied up in cap space already for next season,
that was the biggest point.
That's without Marner signing.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, that was my biggest question. It's like, how are they going to manage to sign all of these guys
and still put the rest of a competitive team?
How in the world are they going to sign Marner? Unless he takes some sort of like insane discount.
Nylander didn't take a discount. Matthews, what people are saying took a discount. I disagree. Marner's definitely not taking a discount now. And you got to remember, behind Riley and Muzzin, like their defense is still a train wreck. Jake Gardiner included, because Gardiner still has those games where he's just awful.
Yeah, I mean, and a player that they got at a decent discount, we would say, was Anderson. We can agree. What is cap hit's only $5 million? That's pretty good.
Yeah, their goalie. I called that right off the bat. That's going to be a
steal.
steal.
I would say. I mean, you don't think Matthews could have got more than what he got?
He could have. But
I guess that's why people are saying it's a discount.
But at the same time, like, everybody knows the cap crunch that they're about. Like, they're arguably going to be in worse cap hell than Chicago was. And I was reading something, like, when it came to the second contracts of Kane and Taves and Crosby Malkin, it's like, if you look at those contracts, they were extremely team-friendly.
Yeah.
This Matthews-Marner situation isn't as team-friendly because of the Tavares contract.
Yeah.
And I called it right away. I'm like, this signing is going to come back and bite him in the ass.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's easy to say that now, and I think that the reason why these guys don't want to take that same cut and pay is because they haven't won a cup yet. And I think that had they won a cup together, then somebody like Matthews would be willing to take, a more of a discount. Anybody, Tavares, but even Tavares, he has yet to win a cup. They haven't won a cup yet as a team. So
True.
That's the biggest point, I think. Like, in the end, they can be a great team, and they could be awesome every single year that they're together on a team. But if they don't win the cup in the end, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much of listen.
This is at least a cap crunch for next season, because Marlowe's contract comes up. If somebody's willing to take Nylander off their hands, that opens up a significant amount of cap space.
Yeah. Ultimately, even if they go ahead and win the championship this year,
which I don't think's happening.
I can't see it, but say they do win the championship, and then you look back at it. Okay, yeah, they won the cup. So
it worked.
Exactly, it worked. Even if it was just for one season.
Yep.
That's ultimately the goal.
That's
right?
all the fans care about.
It's ultimately the goal of
Now, here's the thing with Marner. Like, I saw that Matthews AAV, and I was just like, if I'm Marner, I'm asking for more than that right off the bat. Because, one, it's looking like he's going to put up more points than both of them. And Tavares signed at a discount for $11 million. Marner's most likely going to finish with more points. He's going to be like, I'm asking for more than that, hands down.
Yeah.
And Marner is most likely going to be a 30-goal, 90-point guy, 90 to 100-point guy, which is a rarity in the NHL these days.
Yeah, he almost has his. He's only been in the league for 3 seasons, but he topped out at 69 points. That was his top. He has 61 right now.
61 or 69?
No, he has 61 now.
He has 61 now.
Yeah, 69 was his career high.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got 61 so far in 52 games.
Yes.
So, that's good. And now, obviously, Johnny Tavares is on his line. So them together is just ridiculous.
That's actually a thing that I think Marner has going in his favor, how Tavares' production is up because he's paired with Marner.
True. But I think in the same point, I think John Tavares was putting up numbers even when he was on the Islanders.
But he wasn't putting up this good numbers.
True.
I think he had one season where he put up 90 points, and that was it.
Still, but I don't think if you're Marner, you're going to say, well, look at John Tavares. He's awesome now. Like, John Tavares has always been good.
But
I wouldn't use that.
Tavares has 30-something goals right now. His career high is 37.
Yeah, but just think about
that's going to get blown out of the water. But that's because he's playing with Marner now.
I think
he's going to obliterate his goal total.
Marner's
no
camp's going to bring
Islanders,
that up. But I think that he literally could probably play with any decent like top level guy. Like if he played with Auston Matthews, I guarantee you would probably still have the same point total.
I don't know.
That's just my opinion. I don't know. But then again, Marner's more. He scores goals, but I think he's a better playmaker than
and
Matthews.
He's also one of the fastest guys in the league.
Oh, well, that's obviously his biggest skill. But
people were bringing up the Kucherov contract as a comparable, and I'm just like, you can't really do that because one, Kucherov took a discount because there's less taxes in Florida to keep the team together, but at the same, like Stamkos did, he took a hometown discount too. If your franchise player takes a hometown discount, other players might think about it.
That's
but
true.
The fact that Nylander and Matthews didn't, he's not. I wouldn't if I was him.
Yeah, like why does he?
And
have
also
to be
you
the
have
one?
to, and also you have to factor in that. I just brought his name up earlier. Not Kucherov. You also have to factor in Panarin too. If you also have to factor in what he's gonna get, and if he's getting 11 million, and Nylander not Nylander. If Marner finishes with more points than Panarin, and Panarin gets let's say 11-5.
You're saying that looking at it from a league perspective, like if you're Marner, you're looking at it from a league perspective. Like this isn't another elite scorer in the league.
Who
I have
is
more points.
Also
exactly.
a winger.
Who's going to make more money than me, but I'm putting up more points than him.
I'm not taking a penny less than that.
That makes. I can agree with that in this case for sure. Like for me, like there was one thing I remember. This is like a while back. Like, and I think Hayes' agent used this as a reference where he referenced. Well, listen, this is Anaheim gave Adam Henrique this contract on the Ducks.
Yeah, but Henrique did something that Hayes didn't.
Yeah, no, I know.
Put up 50
I know.
points
I'm just
saying.
I just think that was a little of a weak comparison for his agent to use. I mean, I could see where you're coming from in this point. I agree with you in that case. Like if I'm Marner, I'm sitting here thinking, well, why the hell do I have to be the guy
to take a discount?
To take some sort of
especially
discount.
When the other two.
Yeah. Well, listen, but you know what though?
And Tavares came in.
At the same time, I get what you're saying. I think Matthews maybe could have got more money elsewhere, but
Arizona.
I guess that's some sort of discount. Barely, but I guess it is. I guess so. I mean, if you want to be technical, I guess it's kind of a discount. But still, I mean, it's not really a discount when the guy's making that much money.
Look,
ridiculous. Like,
if you're making more money than Tavares, that's not a discount. That is not a discount.
I agree with you in that sense. In that perspective, I agree with you. Especially because Tavares is obviously he's had an established career. I mean, listen, Tavares ain't complaining though. I'm sure he's.
Dude, he's having this. He's having the best goal scoring season of his life by far.
Yeah, 100%.
By far.
Definitely. Listen, I think it's interesting to speculate
and like I said, $65 million tied up in cap space next season. The cap ceiling right now is $79.5. Next year, it's only going to supposedly go up to around $82.5. Say you give Marner $11 million. That's, if I can do math real quick, that's $76 million, and then you're left with $6 million to literally sign like 7 guys.
Yeah,
it's not a recipe for success.
Yeah, no. That's a recipe for trying to win it now, I would say, more than anything. If that's their goal and they do it, then that's good, but they got to think about the future, I would say.
Yep.
Considering that they've only just got their crap together the last, 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So I would still think about the future if I was them.
I mean, Kadri's on an okay contract on 4.5. Anderson's on a steal at 5. They have another couple guys that are at $2-3 million who are just. I mean, those are also some good contracts, but
I think it's different. Like I think they have different perspectives. Like I think the younger guys want to get paid.
Yeah, that's how the NHL's working nowadays.
Because it's like a guy. Just think about Tavares. He's already been in the league for so many years.
9 years prior to this.
And at this point, I don't think it's about the money for him. I think he's like, you know what? Okay, I'll take a little bit of a pay cut. And listen, that contract that's still a lot of money.
Yes.
And even if that was like a couple years ago, I'd be like, that's absurd,
Yeah.
that contract, because not even anybody was making that 11 mil. The highest cap hit before McDavid's, right, was what?
Kane and
Kane.
Taves, 10.5.
Yeah. So,
Kane and Taves.
I mean, if you're Tavares, I think he has a different perspective. I think now he just wants to win the championship. I think these guys still haven't quite gotten that money yet. So I think it's just an interesting perspective. Like, I don't know if they quite really care too much about the championships right now, if they say they do. But in their head, they're thinking, okay, well, I'm 20 now. Even if I get on this insane contract and get paid, I'm going to be like 26 by the time the contract ends. I still have plenty of time to try to win a Stanley Cup in my career.
Yep.
And I might not have that opportunity to get paid 6 years from now. God forbid my career falls apart or something.
True.
You know?
And also, I saw something else, like bringing back up like the Kane and Taves and the Crosby Malkin. Matthews, like, had a higher percentage than all of them when it came to his second contract, as a like for that particular team's cap hit percentage. Like, his percentage was higher than all four of those guys.
It's just hard for Toronto. It's like, how,
especially because they already had Tavares at $11 million, and now you have Martin assigned to.
It's just insane. It's just like those guys are all so talented. It's like you can't let any of them go because they're just so good. It's like, what are you gonna do? Not sign Auston Matthews? You know, like, first overall pick. The guy is a beast. He puts up 40 goals in his rookie season. Gets hurt the second year, and then still puts up like 33.
Yeah,
he's gonna be a machine. Once he finally. Even this year, he got hurt again. And he still has 22 and 22, and he's played
like 30-something.
He's played 30-something games. I mean, come on,
I don't know.
Ridiculous.
My buddy Dan was bringing up like trade Nylander for a defenseman, and I'm just like, I think they blew that opportunity over the summer because his trade value's in the gutter right now.
Yeah. Because if I had to choose who I want to sign, Nylander or Marner, I would sign Marner, hands down. And I agree with you.
Literally, I would have traded Nylander early in the summer.
I mean, I would love to hear Toronto fans' perspective on it because obviously this is their team, so they have more of an insight on it than we do. We're just fans speculating. I mean, I don't know, but I think
is Marleau going to last next season? That's a big question mark too.
Yeah, he's older now too. I mean, I'm interested to see what's going to happen. Like, if they don't win the cup this year. It's always interesting to see what happens to teams the next season, who they trade, who they get rid of, who they take on, you know. So
Dubas said, we can and we will, and if you do, you have to move somebody. You really have to move somebody to make cap space.
Yeah.
So
I'm interested, man.
I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see. I know it's early still, but I can't wait to see these playoffs. I just can't wait to see who the hell is going to come out of the East.
I can't wait to see who's going to come out of the West, because that's just a clusterfuck.
Yeah, same thing though. I'm more excited about the East only because I just feel like I watch more of the Eastern Conference. But
same.
I mean, like, damn, dude. Like, if you get if it's possible to get an Eastern Conference Finals, that's Toronto and Tampa, which I don't know, actually wouldn't even be possible, would it?
If one of those two teams finishes in a wild card spot.
That's right. I mean, that would be absolutely epic if that was the Eastern Conference Final.
Oh, I would watch all
absolutely. I would
all
watch
the games of that.
That would be like, the games are going to be like 20 to 18.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Jesus, Montreal's in third. They're a point behind Toronto right now. Wow. Boston is a point behind Montreal.
Tampa Bay is like what? How many points ahead of them? Of everybody else are they?
14.
Yeah, they got some lead.
14.
But yeah, man.
I think that's all I got.
I think that's all I got for today too. But I got to admit, if Lundqvist plays tonight, I'm predicting a Rangers win. Because Lundqvist is
Georgiev's playing.
Georgiev's playing. Okay, so
I'm 99% sure.
I'm still predicting a Rangers win. 3-2 Rangers.
I kind of want them to lose tonight and then win on Friday.
They're gonna win both games, dude, and especially when you're.
Don't disrupt the tank, please.
They're gonna win. That's all. I'm done. That's it. I'm done for the podcast.
As long as they win on Friday, I'll be happy. Other than
done.
that,
I'm dropping the
mic.
I have to pee so badly. Bye.
All right, that's gonna be the end of the episode, the podcast, Brendan literally just went into my bathroom and took a piss. So thanks everyone for listening. This has been Backup Blueshirts, and because I forgot to do the intro, I'll just do it along with the outro now. I am your host, Michael Sparacino, a.k.a. Shades, and Brendan Mulroy, a.k.a. The Big Goon, a.k.a. Mulgoon, literally went to the bathroom, and he gave his last words already, so thank you for listening. Follow us on Twitter, @BackupBluePod, if you want to do that. It would be much appreciated. Thanks for listening. Talk to you guys hopefully next week. See you later.